Representative Lauren Boebert's money troubles continue. Not the fact that she's out of money. No. The fact that she's been spending other people's money on herself. Now, she admitted it through campaign disclosures. The Denver Post reported on Wednesday, citing Federal Election Commission filings. Filings submitted to the FEC on Tuesday also indicate that Boebert reimbursed her campaign for a total of $665,000 worth of payments. Additionally, according to the outlet, each of the 4 payments in question, 2 for $2,000 each and another 2 for $1,325 each, were amended to show payments for the same amount, description, and on the same days to somebody named John Pacheco, whose address is the same as Shooter's Grill and Rifle, in which Boebert owns. Pacheco's relationship to Boebert was not immediately clear. The latest discrepancy appeared in the July campaign finance report for the committee Lauren Boebert for Congress. Payments to Venmo were described as personal expense of Lauren Boebert, billed the campaign account in error. Expense has been reimbursed. Let me just say that it was reimbursed because she was caught. Remember, this is the expense report that she had waited a year to turn in. She waited a year, literally. Now, the next month, FEC officials asked the campaign for clarification on said error. Boebert spokesman Jake Settle told Forbes that he would describe the payment as quote-unquote personal expenses. If the payments were personal use of campaign funds, the commission may consider taking further legal action, said FEC senior campaign finance analyst Sharon Ringgold. That was back in August in a letter to Boebert's campaign. However, prompt action to obtain reimbursement of the funds in question will be taken into consideration. Now, let me just say this. The FEC ain't going to do anything. Okay. Now, Boebert's supplemental report filed Tuesday reiterated the expenses had been reimbursed and will be reported on the campaign's next disclosure, which is due in October. And now, of course, the FEC says, well, we are considering punitive action against Boebert, but as I told you before, that's probably not going to happen. Why? It's because the FEC is broken. The FEC is fundamentally broken. Now, let me explain why. So the idea behind the FEC is you get 6 people. You get 6 you get 6 commissioners total, 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans, but you need 4 votes to do anything. And so the thinking behind that was, well, we get Democrats or Republicans, you get an even number, but you require those 4 votes. You're going to have some bipartisanship. Voila, right? Bipartisanship. We're all working together to do the law because we're all against that, people screwing over the election financing system, right? Right? No. What they ended up getting was nonpartisanship. Nothing. Nothing. And Ellen Weintraub, who is a Democratic commissioner, explains it by saying that her Republican colleagues share a certain philosophical approach to their work. That philosophical approach is that the FEC shouldn't exist. Just get rid of it, they say. Well, you can look at cases that involve allegations against Democrats. You can look at cases, you can look at allegations against Republicans, and regardless of who's being complained about, it's always the Democrats who are trying to enforce the law and the Republicans who are trying to block enforcement of the law. Republicans believe that there should be very few, if any, limits on money in politics. Democrats believe that excessive funds in politics have the potential to corrupt the system and that some kind of reasonable regulation is necessary. So let me just pick apart that real quick. While it is true that Republicans say, no, we don't want any rules on money in politics, we want to be awash with money in politics. Some of the same could be said for the Democrats as well, who only propose some very modest, very milquetoasty kind of reforms. And so, look, that is, again, a terrible read of the situation. In reality, all private money in elections is corrupting. And that's it. It doesn't have the potential to corrupt the system. It does corrupt the system. The system is fully corrupt. That is the problem here. That is the problem. Now, a good example here is Senator Kyrsten Sinema, who is a Democrat. Now, Kyrsten Sinema is opposed to Joe Biden's infrastructure plan, and especially the part that would allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the pharmaceutical company, right? So now it turns out that she has received more than $75,000, I'm sorry, $750,000 in legal bribes from the pharmaceutical and medical device industries. Would you look at that? Well, that would have seemed to be the appearance of corruption, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Come on. It absolutely is corrupt. You cannot fix that with reasonable regulation. Like this, like for example, the Democrats are like, oh, well, you know, boy, all this money in politics, we should disclose to donors. And how's that going to fix the system? Sure, now you know, look, we already pretty much know who owns who anyway. And so, yes, if politicians had to wear a suit, you know, that has a patch for every donor, every large corporate donor, all right, that's not going to actually fix the system, though. Sure, we can see who owns them, but they're still being owned. And they're still doing things that benefit their donors and that don't benefit us. So all that does is just say, oh, look, you already knew that your congressperson is corrupt. Well, here's proof. Here's something that you already know. Well, I'm sorry, like that doesn't really do it for me. You see, I don't want to just know that my congressman is corrupt. I want to actually stop congressmen from becoming corrupt, from being corrupted. And that's the issue here. I'm sorry, but reasonable regulation, no, that's unreasonable because right now the system is unreasonable. The fact that ExxonMobil can go out and purchase our congressman, and then rig the rules against doing anything about climate change, which affects all of us. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with that at all. So you can't fix that. No, the only way to get rid of that is to get rid of the money in politics. You have to publicly finance elections. And that's it. Because anything else, if you do anything else, you're still going to have the politicians that are tainted by this money. And the system will continue to be corrupted. All of this, like I said, is related. Now, Lauren Boebert was literally caught paying her rent and utilities from her donor money. And her donors are fossil fuel companies. And so not only are her donors fossil fuel companies, by the way, she has a personal incentive to support fossil fuels because her husband is a consultant for a Colorado energy company. Previous disclosures show that Jason Boebert has received about $478,000 from Terra Energy Productions last year for consultant services and $460,000 from the same firm in 2019, except it's not Terra Energy Productions, I think it's Terra Energy Partners. Nonetheless, you get what I'm seeing, right? That she is being paid, and guess what? Oh, turns out fossil fuel companies are giving her money, and she's representing the fossil fuel companies. Who knew? Who could have seen that one coming? Oh, right, everybody. Everybody is paying attention. That same form also revealed that Boebert's restaurant, Shooter's Grill, had actually lost money, $143,000 in 2019 and $226,000 in 2020. With that loss of income, massive loss of income, of course she's going to rely on her husband's income and, oh, golly gee, come out against regulations like reducing methane, which happens to be something, the methane rule that is in the in the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill, a rule that would have limited methane emissions. That's specifically one of the things that she targeted to take out. And her company is actually one of the highest, basically producers of methane emissions in the state of Colorado. It is directly related. It is the corruption. And she gets the money from these donors and it uses to pay her bills. Her personal bills. No wonder she's against infrastructure that deals with climate change. Come on. It is all connected. All you have to do is follow the money. And again, this is not just about Boebert and cinema. Those are just two examples of very, very many. All right? I mean, you look at the pharmaceutical companies, they pretty much bought off both sides. Not just Kirsten Sinema. I mean, they spend millions and millions of dollars lobbying our politicians, and that's why we pay more than the rest of the entire world when it comes to our prescription drugs. Why we pay the highest amount for insurance, for health insurance, than anyone else in the world. It's the corruption. It's the corruption. It is that system that prioritizes greed over the public good. Neither of these incredibly corrupt people are going to, in any way, get significantly punished. And that is a failure and a result of this system that we have right now. This system is broken. No, not broken. It's working as intended. Why? Because you had people, corporations, and corrupt politicians that have rigged the rules against us and in their favor. That's what's going on. It is right in our faces. Now, can we do something about it? Well, I mean, that's the question, right? I think we can. Now, understand, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you, this is not an easy task. This is not something, unfucking our system from private corporate influence is not going to be an easy thing. It will not be a quick thing, right? There is no easy fix here. There's something that's a lot of work. Remember, it took decades to set up this system. It could take that or longer for us to tear it down. Now, I think electoralism plays a small part in this. Again, getting in progressives who don't take corporate donations, believe in getting the money out, and actually putting pressure on them to actually try to do that. Now, the other thing, of course, is pressure from the outside. Direct action, protests, legal challenges to some of these rulings that have allowed the flow of money in politics. And there are groups that are working on getting the states to call for a constitutional convention in order to propose an amendment to get money out of politics. Other than that, I don't see any, other than those avenues, I don't see a lot of, other ways in order to do that. But those are some pretty solid ways to do that don't involve violence. And I'm not going to lie, again, incredibly difficult, time-consuming things to do, but I think it can be done. And when successful, we will get our country back from the donor class and big corporations, and we can do so without violence. And that's, to me, that's the goal. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.